Hey, Theater Inspires! Welcome to Make It Sparkle, a series to get ideas and inspiration for your theater and dance shows. This video is about 12 Angry Men and a little about 12 Angry Jurors, and it features Joel Smith. Joel has taught theater for over 25 years, and he's teaching for his 11th year at Poudre High in Fort Collins, Colorado. He's directed shows like The Laramie Project, Midsummer Night's Dream, and James and the Giant Peach. Joel is a kind, insightful director and a gifted theater designer as well. Hope you enjoy this and get some fresh ideas.
I think you need to decide if you're going to set it in the original time period or if you're going to do something with the setting. And that needs to be a decision early on. I think there are pros and cons. We did it in, and I'm trying to remember what year, like what specific year that show's in, but I want to say late 50s, early 60s. But maybe 63, I don't remember. But I think there are some real distinctions between what people, especially men, wore in 1963, if that's the year we're going for, and what they wore in 1973, 1983, 2003. I think we need to honor the time period and the setting as best as we can. And I think part of the conversation of like, okay, I'm going to set it today. And I think that could be a valid choice, but I think it's a choice that needs to be considered because you're going to have someone walk into your jury room today who might be wearing a dress shirt, but it's open at the collar and there's no tie and it's untucked and the sleeves are rolled up. And this is not the same as that suit and tie and maybe hat from 1963. It says something different about the character. It says something different about the situation. It says something different about everything that's in that show. So that question of why is the character dressed the way that they're dressed, I think is really important. And I'm more of a purist, and I think leaving it in its original setting allows you to say all of those contemporary messages without hitting the audience over the head with it. Like, this is now. I think if you do a good job as a director, they'll get this is now, even if it's then. I also, for men, especially student male actors, you put them in a suit, they have things to do with their hands. I can adjust my tie, I can handle my hat, I can hold that in my hand or put it in my lap. I've got pockets everywhere that I can have things in, right? Like, it's important to remember that they're gonna fidget, and what are you gonna give them to do? So you put them in the suit, now all of a sudden you can put a folded newspaper in the pocket of that suit. Now you've got a prop with them. You've got the character who's been sitting there a long time who can, undo their tie and unbutton that button and loosen everything up. And you can take off a jacket, you can put a jacket back on, like, you've got all this stuff that you can use. I also think there's some interesting things, again, if you're going to include female jurors, the commentary on gender in the 1960s between what men wore and what women wore is something that you can really play with if you want to. And of course, every woman in 1963 would have carried a purse, and there are things in the purse. So now she's got props also. So I think there are all sorts of opportunities either way, but ultimately it's going to be, what am I trying to say with the setting? And why are these people dressed the way they do? And how do these clothes represent who these people are? And then for a show like that, you can find those suits. There are thrift stores, there are antique clothing places. We've got a place in town that does kind of old-timey photos. So you can dress up. You want to avoid like making everyone look like a 30s gangster. Like, I think it's important to do some research and know the difference between a 1920s suit and a 1960s suit. That's a lot of time, and that's a different cut, and that's different. And I'm so thankful to have a costume director who knows that stuff and also teaches that stuff. That no, putting a man in a suit is not just putting a man in a suit. What year are we talking about? Or the silhouette of that dress is 40 years too old or too new, and she wouldn't have worn that. And I've learned a ton from her about there are reasons fashions are fashions, and they help tell the story as much as anything else, sometimes more.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you've done 12 Angry Men or 12 Angry Jurors on stage and have ideas or tips to help other directors make their show a success, be sure to include it in the comments below.